The 9th row of the grid is number 10, which is Ed McDermott, and 28, which is Jack Hodges, with row 10 being number 90, Bruce Robinson, and 24, Charlie Lane. The 11th row of the grid, number 40, Ray Worley, lines up alongside 68, Martin Heath, with row 12 being number 121, Gary Smith, and 6, which is Colin Wells. 1, 2, 1 and 6. The 13th row of the grid is 119, which is Liz Walton, alongside number 20, which is Jude Worley. Then we get a 2-row gap before we then see the final 3 cars, 2 of which are the Mark IVs. Number 62, Kevin Sylvain, lines up alongside number 6, which is Adrian Burge, 62 and 16 on row 14. And off the back of the grid, his car was found to be very slightly underweight, not by much, about 6 kilos, I think it was. Number 33, Dylan Stepney, had his lap times disallowed because he was underneath the minimum weight limit for the championship regulations. So number 33 starts off the very back of the grid. So that is the way that they line up. We're talking in qualifying this morning about the fact that we've already had a couple of races. They took place at Silverstone on the 15th of April, where in the first race of the season, Nicholas Stott, who lines up 5th on the grid here, claimed the win in the first of the races. And in the second of the 2 races, it was Daniel Perrin-Smith, who lines up 7th on the grid in the number 73 car, that claimed top honours in the second of the 2 races. I'm guessing, Jack, we've got some parish notices to give out, have we?
Just the one, yeah. So if you are parked in the blue car park, I'm guessing that's up sort of at the very top of the circuit, almost as you come in on your left. If you are parked in that blue car park, you own a Mini, and the registration LS14VWL, so Lima Sierra 14 Victor Whiskey Lima, on a Mini. If that is your car, please can you move it as soon as possible. You are blocking somebody in. They need to get themselves away. But the cars are out on their green flag warming up lap. We've got brilliant pictures on our side, so we can see the field all the way around the Grand Prix loop. These cars, they look rather small compared to the GT machinery that we've had out there. So I think that they're going to get, as ever in the Miata Trophy, quite brave, and we may see two, maybe 3 wide. And you can see all the, I don't know whether it's the time of year or whatever it is, but there's lots of sort of bits of nature lingering in the air, and that can quite easily distract you as well.
Yeah, lots for flying around. So this is the Miata Trophy. They had the inaugural championship last year, where it catered for the Mark IIIs and the Mark Is. Changes for this year means we have 2 different classes. We have NC, which is for the Mark III cars. So that is the Mark III, or the Mark III and a half and the Mark III and 3/4, 2-litre engines. And then we also have the Mark IVs, which again run that 2-litre engine. 50 points if you claim the win, 47 for second, 44 for third, subject to there being 10 or more starters in your class. And there are points allocated all the way right down to something like 24th position as well. Starting position for this race were decided by qualifying, and then of course the Super Pole. Starting positions for the second race are determined by the finishing order of this one. All of the cars run controlled Toyo Proxys tyres, and the minimum weight of them is just over a tonne, so it's 1,100 kilos if it's a Mark III, slightly lighter, 1,050 if it's one of the newer Mark IVs, which there are more in build at the moment. So in terms of colours then, it's the light blue and orange and black car of Aidan Hills that's there on pole position. It's the largely white and black and green car of John Langridge that's alongside. It's all green for Declan Lee on row number 2, alongside almost the burgundy coloured car of Ronan Lundy. And row 3 of the grid, it's light blue with day-glow pink and black for Nicholas Stott, alongside the grey and black and red car of Michael Nibbs. 4th row of the grid, white and orange for Daniel Perrin-Smith, alongside the largely silver car, but it's got the odd little bit of light blue and orange to it, hasn't it? Drew Fletcher. And row 5 of the grid, it's blue with the odd little light blue and orange flash to it, alongside the all-black car of Will Morris. So the final few rows of the grid coming into position, including the Dayglow yellow car of Dylan Stepney at the back of the grid, who was pushed to the back of the grid for being slightly underweight in qualifying. 20 minutes are on the clock. The cars are all assembled. We get the green flag at the tail end of the field, and we're about to get round 3 of the 2024 Miata Trophy underway here at Brands Hatch. Red lights come on the gantry. Revs begin to build, and the lights go out now. It's not a bad start from Aidan Hills from pole position. Slowly away was Nicholas Stott, so he's already dropping down through the order in the light blue and day-glow pink car. But as they head through Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, it's Aidan Hills that leads the way. John Langridge there in second, but under attack from Declan Lee as they start to clamber uphill and in towards the braking area for Druids for the first time. The order still remains the same. Aidan Hill leads from John Langridge and Declan Lee, the top three as they were on the grid.
Yeah, Daniel Parent-Smith really got boxed in there. He was trying to go forward, and I think in doing so, that's just compromised him slightly. He's now coming under pressure from Drew Fletcher. We're side by side all the way through the order, down in towards Graham Hill Bend. We all get through there cleanly, and we're already starting to see a pack form. That front pack remains as it started, still with Aidan Hills leading away, already starting to build up quite a healthy margin, Mark.
So they head out of Surtees for the first time and onto the Grand Prix circuit. Speeds begin to build as they start to head through Pilgrim's Drop and down through Hawthorne Hill. Lots of side-by-side action going on further down through the order. It looks as though the number 18 car, which is one of the Misty Racing cars, is wheel to wheel. And as they overall front pack head round through Hawthorne for the first time. Good fight going on for Rowan Lundy, who has dropped down into, what, 5th, 6th place from 4th on the grid. He's under attack, I think, from Will Morris. Yeah, Will Morris in the black car. Up the inside, gets a bit of a wiggle on as he bounces over the curbs. That unsettles him. Rowan Lundy takes the place back as we now have a change, do we, for second? Yeah, Declan Lee up the inside with a good run through Dingle Dell. Goes through up the inside at Sheen Curve. The reigning champion, the green, the number 1 car, is through and ahead of John Langridge.
Yeah, Declan Lee really pushing hard. We cannot forget about Alex Miller. Qualifying didn't go his way. He missed out on Super Pole, and all over the grass goes Drew Fletcher on the exit of Stirling's. Gets the moment collected up, but Aidan Hill's lead is just continuing to extend and extend and extend. However, it may have been the cork in the bottle, and Declan Lee has just worked his way through and past. So let's see what Declan can do over the coming laps. Very much a one-way affair at the moment. All of that side-by-side action we saw at the start. We've got a good few battles in the second pack of cars coming over the line. One of those is the number 68 machine. That's being in the hands of Martin Heath. He's all kinds of crossed up with Jack Hodges really starting to feel that pressure, but Declan Lee is not exactly pulling away and closing up on Aidan Hills.
Yeah, Aidan Hills has checked out, hasn't he, for the moment. End of the first lap of racing, he had quite a comfortable little lead, really. 1.4, nearly 1.5 seconds was the advantage that he had, and he's not going to want to do anything other than watch in his mirrors as they squabble over what is second, third and fourth position at the moment. Declan Lee, John Langridge, then the car of Michael Nibbs. All together, those three fighting over second, third and fourth place. There'll be more destined to join them as well if they keep squabbling, because Ronan Lundy's not that far away, and then we get the next of the cars thereafter, which is going to be Will Morris in the all-black car. So this is exactly what Aidan Hills wanted. A good first lap, break the toe on the cars behind, let them squabble, try and disappear up the road.
Yeah, Michael Nibbs is still trying to work his way through and past the cars in front, one of those being Wayne Langridge. Of course, Declan Lee is still well and truly there, but for the moment, Michael Nibbs, he can't decide whether to go forward or focus on his rearview mirror, because he does have Rowan Lundy just about there at the moment. Hanging on is Connor Clifford. He's at the tail end of that lead train, and Declan Lee, I'd say he's coming under a bit more pressure now from John Langridge, pardon me. So John Langridge, he's starting to, again, just close that gap, but going with him this time is Michael Nibbs.
Another good squabble that I've been keeping an eye on is what's going on between number 15 Clive Powles and number 14 Connor Clifford. They have been pretty much nose to tail and side by side for the vast majority of it. They are, I think, heading towards the bottom section of the top 10 at the moment. Over the start-finish line, almost a bit of bump drafting going there. John Langridge looks for the inside line on Declan Lee, but can't make it stick. And then he's not concentrating what's going on the outside of him. And Nicholas Stott is it that draws...
Michael Nibbs.
Michael Nibbs, rather, draws himself alongside at the wheel of the 82.
Yeah, Michael Nibbs, he was so brave. He almost showed his nose early. He's still on the outside as they work their way through Druids. That will evolve to the inside on the way down towards Graham Hill Bend. And at the inside it remains. On the brakes, they're still drawn absolutely level on the exit. He just nips across the nose, but has that compromised his exit? No. So Michael Nibbs up into third place, working his way through and past the number 5 of John Langridge, but John Langridge immediately tries to fight back, can't quite edge the door open. All of that fighting has allowed Rowan Lundy to get well and truly there. He's in 5th place at the moment and running slightly wide there. He's John Langridge again, just trying to give chase to Michael Nibbs, but again, that's going to cost him time. Rowan Lundy will be gaining, and as far as Declan Lee's concerned, he'll be over the moon.
Yeah, he will be over the moon, because they're properly rolling their sleeves up and slugging it out behind. Rowan Lundy had 2 wheels on the grass on the left-hand side of the car as he approached Hawthorne Bend, which is suboptimal, I would say. There was a bit of a wiggle as he realised that he'd run a little bit too wide, but he's got the moment under control and didn't really lose a great deal of time as a result of that. But scary moment for him briefly there. The car starting to descend down through what will be Dingle Dell and climb up towards Sheen Curve. At the end of the second lap of racing, Aidan Hills had opened up now a 2.3, almost 2.4-second gap between himself and Declan Lee in second place, who hasn't fully as yet escaped the grasp of Michael Knibbs, has he, who is still there in his newly acquired third place. So the train of cars head up towards the end of the lap, but leading the way, extending his advantage, is Aidan Hills.
Yeah, Aidan Hills last time through, 2.3 seconds to the good. Let's see what it is this time as he breaks the beam. I'd imagine substantially more. We're now seeing Nicholas Stott come under pressure, and already working his way through and past is Alex Miller. Lead gap up to 3.4 seconds now, but Alex Miller, I said keep an eye on him. He's on a charge, couldn't quite get the confidence around the outside of Nicholas Stott that time as they climb up the hill. And was that Nicholas Stott running slightly wide, or was it Alex Miller?
I couldn't quite tell from there. Some good fighting going on further down through the order. Yeah, Nicholas Stott is still having to stick his elbows out. Alex Miller right the way there with him. Then those two cars that I was alluding to, Clive Powell's, followed by Connor Clifford. Clive Powell's in the silver car. Connor Clifford sitting behind him in the blue one with the lighter blue stripe down it. Aidan Hills now 3.8 seconds up the road from the #1 car of Declan Lee, but everybody's still looking to try and mount a challenge, hang on to the coattails of the second place car, but third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all not that far away as they start to build the speed, build momentum again and head down through Hawthorne Hill, having completed 2 laps already.
Yeah, Declan Lee not really pulling away from Michael Knibbs. I'd say Michael's just getting that bit quicker as the race goes on. Declan Lee last time through a 1:47.557. Michael Knibbs, even with an overtake, 1:46.695. So Michael really just unlocking the pace nice and early. He's almost lapping on race-leading pace, is Michael Knibbs, so doing everything he needs to do. There's a good battle further down. That's Ian Abel. He was under pressure, working his way in towards Westfield Bend. But as far as our leader concerned, Aidan Hills, 3.4 seconds last time. It'll be almost north of 5 seconds, I think, this time. Declan Lee not exactly pulling away. I'd say Michael Knibbs is getting closer.
Yeah, he certainly is. And Nicholas Stott having a quick look at the inside of Will Morris, but nothing doing there. So the light blue car with its pink flashes has to tuck back behind once more. We've also got leading at the moment the Mark IIs. Kelvin Sylvain is leading that at the wheel of the burgundy-coloured car. And who is with him? It's Dylan Stepney, the Dayglow car that had all of his times disallowed from qualifying. He is also trying to work his way through what is a very busy pack of Miata Trophy competitors.
Yeah, Jack Hodges really applying that pressure onto Ian Abel now. They come across the line and break the beam absolutely together. Jack Hodges, is he going to look to the outside? We've had a bit of a run through the gravel, but I think we've got away with it by the looks of it. The gravel dust is still lingering in the air. Charlie Lane on the outside and just about manages to remain in front of, couldn't quite pick out exactly who that was, but we've still got a brilliant battle between Ian Abel and Jack Hodges absolutely together. And Dylan Stepney, bearing in mind he started off the very back row of the grid, he's doing all right as well.
He really is, isn't he? Yeah, that Dayglow car of Dylan Stepney is doing beautifully well as he picks off a few more places and gains a bit more advantage. All the way down through the order, there are some good fights going on. And you can see right the way towards the tail end of the field, Charlie Lane has got his hands full. He's trying to attack and defend at the same time. He's in full attack mode at the moment, trying to get up the inside of Ed McDermott. Can't quite make it stick to the Misty Racing car. The number 24 car still remains where he is, and that's going to be something like 20th, 21st place at this stage.
Yeah, and somebody that's carving his way up through the order as well quite comfortably is the number 62 machine. That is, of course, Kevin Sylvain. He went out in Superpole, I think, just to complete the requisite number of laps to make sure he was eligible to start the race. But for the moment, yeah, Ian Abel and Jack Hodges absolutely together. Aidan Hill's lead continuing to extend. And the bonnet just raising on Declan Lee's car. That may have been going over a curb. Obviously, there's nobody really around him to have contact with. However, getting closer and closer and closer is Michael Knibbs. Is he going to try to get around the outside? Yes, he is. Draws himself level, breaks the beam. He will be in second place on the timing as he was in front by the time we got to the start-finish line. All the way around the outside. Can he make it work? Can't quite get the momentum on the exit. Declan Lee remains there. Are they going to go defensive? Yes, Declan Lee works his way over into the middle of the circuit. Michael Knibbs will have to look to the outside. He'll try not to leave himself vulnerable to the car behind. Of course, John Langridge, who is still there or thereabouts. As soon as he got passed by Michael Knibbs, he couldn't really do too much by way of an attack. But Declan Lee, he's fended off one attack, but maybe not another.
Yeah, the problem is that bonnet pin, if the scrutineers aren't entirely satisfied that bonnet is safe, then they'll give him a black and orange flag. We've got a big accident on the start-finish straight, and that is a big hit into the tyre wall, I'm afraid. And that is surely going to bring about the red flag. That was Colin Wells, not quite sure how that happened, but the car spat from one way and then the other and has clattered into the barriers in a big way. The race race. Still continuing, is it, for the moment? We've got yellow flags down at Hawthorne. Safety car is coming out. Drivers lifting their hands aloft as the news filters out that we've got an incident out on circuit. But that was a big hit for Colin Wells, who hopefully is all right, because it was a fairly big impact into the barriers. So we bring the race to a premature status of just controlling it all with the safety car. I can see that Colin Wells, I think, is just chatting to the marshals at the moment, just sort of indicating with his hands that he's okay and probably trying to get his breath back after that incident. And for Aidan Hills, that's not what he wanted, is it? He had built up a big advantage and was hoping that he could just keep stretching that advantage, but any sort of safety car period as we have now straight away means that that's going to bunch the pack back up again.
No, unfortunately as well for BC Cars Motorsport, they've not had the best day. Obviously, Colin Wells is down there, and we have also lost the other BC Motorsport cars. It's not Kevin Sylvain, I think it's Adrian Burge. He's down at the bottom of Graham Hill Bend, pulled over towards the right-hand side. So, yeah, the drivers, again, communicating beautifully with each other, just making sure that they get onto the right side of the circuit with 8 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. There are presumably barrier repairs to be done to the actual Armco. There's a lot of tyres to be replaced as well. But, yeah, drivers are still working their way through and onto the field at quite a rapid rate of knots as well, locking up, trying to get the car slowed down.
Yeah, so one good thing is that Colin Wells, he gave the thumbs up to the marshals while he was still in the car. He did the right thing, stayed in there for a period of time until the marshal said, right, you're now safe to get out. And it's great to see he's walking away from what is a fairly battered BC Cars prepared #6 Mazda, which you can see all the way down the right-hand side of it from where we're looking. It's borne the brunt of the impact, and the red flags have now come out, I'm afraid. So it was scheduled to be a 20-minute race. Red flags come out with just over 8 minutes to go, which begs the question, by the time we've got the tyre wall repaired and the barriers inspected and then the belting put back in front of those tyres and, of course, poor old Colin's car out of harm's way, does beg the question as to, are we going to get any sort of restart for this one? Because, of course, we are, you know, here as part of that support package, the Miata Trophy for the GT World Challenge Europe. They have the pressures of live TV. They need to go live at a certain point. And we can't afford too many delays, can we?
No, absolutely not. But it's great to see, yeah, marshals were straight there and on the scene. And we've got, yeah, the circuit maintenance team, I'm sure, working their way around. But, yeah, I think that the best thing we can take out of this is seeing Colin Wells immediately, I'm okay, and stayed in the car, as he should as well, because there were still cars working their way through and past him at the time. But from what we saw, obviously now we know that Colin is okay. Aidan Hills, he did absolutely everything he needed to do during that race.
It was perfect, wasn't it, for him? Yeah, qualified on pole position. Then set the fastest time in the Super Pole session, so got the fastest time in qualifying, set the fastest time in Super Pole, which gave him the pole position. And straight away, as soon as the lights were out, you know, leading by a couple of seconds at the end of the first lap, stretching it after lap #2, stretching it further after lap #3. He will be disappointed that we perhaps might not get the full race in. We may get some sort of restart, who knows as yet, we're just surmising. But the race was all going perfectly to plan, and then, yeah, through no fault of his own, thankfully Colin's okay. Out comes the safety car, then the red flags, and if we do get a restart, of course, he's got it all to do again. So the cars are being ushered in towards the pit lane, which is what I thought may well happen, and because I can't really line them up on the grid anyway with all of the recovery crews there anyway, so they need to bring them in towards the pit lane. But you would have thought if they were going to restart it, they might have held them right
back,
right
at clearways,
right where the safety car is, and just not brought them into the pit lane, parked them up there if we thought we might get a restart. We'll wait and see.
We will, absolutely, but yeah, Declan Lee, I'm sure a bit of a breath of fresh air for him, because he really started to come under some pressure.
He was coming under some pressure. You know, it's one mark racing. All of the cars are identical, and therefore, if something as simple as a little bonnet catch coming up, you're going to get more air flowing underneath the bonnet and into the engine bay than you are over the top of it, which is going to mean that the car's going to be slower in a straight line. Not by much, but that's what tells when everybody's got the same amount of power.
Yeah,
and he was you know, treading a tightrope with regards to a black and orange flag.
Yeah, for cooling, fabulous. For straight line speed, absolutely not. And yeah, the cars are being directed towards the outer paddock, where they are being held throughout this weekend with the Miata Trophy. But Aidan Hills, I'm guessing with the amount of time that we had completed, it will still go down and be classified as a win.
One would have thought so.
Looking at that, yeah. But Declan Lee will be finishing in what is second place, and Michael Nibbs will round out your podium. John Langridge finished in 4th place, ahead of Nicholas Stott, finishing in 15th place, or in 5th place, pardon me. But yeah, it's a shame we can't get it back underway, but obviously safety has to be at the top of the priority list, making sure that barrier is well and truly back up to full strength and that the tyres are well encased.
Yeah, absolutely. So we also won't get the chance to chat to our drivers.
No.
There were some fine-looking Miata trophies on the podium when I went down there earlier on. So it would have been nice to have been presenting those to each one of them, but that is perhaps going to have to wait until their second race, or they'll sort that out themselves in the paddock area. So all of the cars heading back in towards the paddock area. A chunk of clearing up to be done, so lots of busy marshals out there sweeping the track already to try and remove the dirt and the detritus and the grass and everything else that was there. We also need, of course, the circuit maintenance team to start to replace all of the tyre barriers. They'll inspect the first thing they'll do is inspect the arm code just to see as to whether it has been moved as a result of that car impacting it. From our angle that we are looking at, that is what is going on at the moment, just making sure that that barrier is in a vertical position. It looks as though it is slightly off vertical, yeah, I would say, from here. So that probably means that the telehandler will need to have a look at it. So we can bring you the results then for the Miata Trophy. Aidan Hills claims the win before the red flag from Michael Nibbs in 2nd place, and Declan Lee was there in 3rd. John Langridge, Rowan Lundy and Nicholas Stott wrapped out the top 6. Then after that it was Will Morris who finished in 7th place, with Drew Fletcher there in 8th place. Connor Clifford was in 9th place, and winner from earlier on this season, Daniel Perrin-Smith, completed the top 10. Alex Miller was there in 11th place from Simon Fleet in 12th place. John Robinson was next up, ahead of David Chapman, and then completing the top 15, it was Clive Powell's. Just outside of the top 15, Jack Hodges finishes in 16th position. 17th place went the way of Ian Abel, and if you're watching the stream, you can see all of those cars that finished outside of the top 20, including 2 cars that we lost along the way. Adrian Burge and Colin Wells both did not secure the finish in the end. So that was a slightly shortened race for the 3rd weekend of racing, or 3rd round of the championship for the Miata Trophy. But hopefully we will see all of those cars, maybe barring Colin Wells, back out for the 2nd Miata Trophy race a little bit later on this afternoon. They're scheduled to be back out on circuit at around about 6 p.m. this evening. So we look forward to bringing you all of the racing action from the Miata Trophy later on today here at Brands Hatch.